on this edition of Between Us, the ultimate healing code with Dimple Jangda. But before we start, before she tells us everything she knows about healing, here's a little tip on the 4 C's and 1 F that all of us can do.
Yeah, right. Let's make a cup of digestive tea for her. I call it the prana digestive tea. The world calls it CCFT. We have a few ingredients here which we're going to try. We're going to show you what it looks like after it's done. So I'm going to take 1 teaspoon of fennel seeds, the 2 of us. It's carbonated in nature. It's sweet. It pacifies the pitta. We're going to add 1 teaspoon coriander seeds. It helps in reducing thyroid health issues, UTI infections, and again, carbonated in nature. We're going to add 1 teaspoon cumin seeds, carbonated in nature, aids digestion, improves digestion juices. You can add 1 cardamom pod in each and a pinch of carom seeds, which we don't have. If you want to have a little bit flavor, you can even add a long, which is a clove. If your digestion is weak, you even create some ginger in this. And we're going to add some hot water. You don't even have to boil it, nothing. Look at the color come through. Drink this water post meals. Chew the seeds. You'll never complain of indigestion, bloating, gas, flatulence, constipation. None of those issues. Even UTI infection. Telling you, this is called a magic tea. We made a big portion of it for the rest of the team. It was literally just a 30-second job. Hot water, seeds, and ta-da!
So this and so many more tips only on Between Us on DeKoder. You have to watch. I want to know, from being a TV producer to then an investment banker and then this epic health journey, what happened and how did you finally end up? And is there another career change coming, or this is it?
I'm not sure. I can never say this is it, right? I mean, I've had 4 transitions actually. I was in advertising first and then a TV reporter, a TV producer, and then a banker. But every time, whatever industry I got in, I know I did my very best. I gave in my 100% of my passion and my emotions and my hard work, and I enjoyed the process. But there comes a point when you hit a saturation where you start looking for a deeper meaning for your existence. And that happened to me at the peak of investment banking, right? So every industry did give me a lot of exposure, did give me a lot of satisfaction and success. But then when I hit saturation points in whichever industry that was, I would take a sabbatical and decode myself, if that's the word I must use, to strip away the layers of conditioning that we have and go within and find something more deeper, more meaningful, more purposeful, more value creation oriented for the society and for myself. So the transitions happened, and then at the peak of investment banking, it just felt like a hollow experience for me where I was making enough money for myself and, for my future, but I didn't feel like I was living my higher purpose or my ikigai. So the sabbatical.
Did that investment banking background help setting up sort of what you do today?
Absolutely. When you look back, all the dots connect. Nothing was an accident. Nothing was a mistake. Nothing. None of it. I studied television, filmmaking, graphic design, photography, painting. All of that, you'll see it in my clinic right now. All of that experience is now allowing me to create social media content confidently without having to depend on an outside agency. Now I have an in-house production team. I studied MBA, International Business and Finance. I can crunch my numbers better than my auditor and accountant can. Okay, I had exposure in investment banking, so I know when to borrow money and when not to borrow money. And for the record, I've never had to borrow money. I love having a clean balance sheet. I love accounting every single rupee that we've made and over taxes to the government on time, because the peace of mind and sleep you get is fantastic. I know from experience what are the grays, which is not part of my business. What are the whites and blacks? Very clean. All of your experience adds up to who you are today. Right. If I remove any part of your story, you wouldn't be who you are.
You've also spoken of having about 4 surgeries.
Yeah.
Did that lead to the healing code and the healing that you now offer to the world?
Yes. And I think I realized it way too late. So I read this very powerful line 2 days ago where it said, your suffering is your purpose in life. And I was like, wow, that hit me deep. But I didn't have the right words to explain it 8 years ago when I started my healthcare journey, right? So when I took a sabbatical from investment banking, it was a fairly long 2.5 year sabbatical where I traveled around the world and I was looking for answers to questions I didn't know I had. I didn't know what the questions was. So I didn't know where to seek the answers or what answers to seek, right? But I was looking for a purpose and I said, why do I exist in this moment of time, space and energy? What is my purpose of existence in relation to the society and the tangibles I'm interacting with on a daily basis, which is my family, friends, relatives, society, the unknown faces who are contributing to the quality of my life, be it an Uber driver or the construction worker or someone who built a school and college that has made me who I am. What is my core relationship with them? I have a karmic exchange, right? How am I creating value for any of them in return for what they've done for me? That deeper search brought me back to my childhood and my suffering. And I said, all that suffering, I buried under the carpet and forgot about it. Because I just wanted to, go on my, ambition ladder and career ladder and accomplishment ladder rather. And I forgot all about that. I was like, wait, the suffering that I went through was because of the ignorance my family had because of limited exposure to preventive healthcare education. The only exposure we had was to curative healthcare life sciences, modern medicine, antibiotics, drugs, steroids, surgeries. That was only knowledge we had. And that was the only avenue of treatment for my parents that was available to them. So they spent every penny they could to, help me rectify my health issues. But when I started researching deeper and deeper, I found that most of my diseases were avoidable. I was heavily medicated as a teenager, as a child. I had way too many surgeries for a child, for a teenager, which all could have been avoided. And there was another component called preventive healthcare life science, which we never knew existed. Yeah. Yoga, naturopathy, Ayurveda, homeopathy, breathing, nutrition, lifestyle medicine.
And it's actually so strange because all of this is so sort of, part of Indian culture, but we've kind of forgotten that and it's, sort of now coming back. But I wanted to ask you that in the book, you actually outlined the 5 Ds, right? Disconnect, de-stress, detox, decompress and decode.
Yeah.
It's decode and decoding. But for instance, if somebody was like really feeling burnt out today, which D should they start with?
Oh my God, pull the plug first of all. Pull the plug. Okay, that literally sounds like an invitation for death, right? Yeah. When you say pull the plug. Yeah. I'm literally saying that. Right. We as a generation are overstimulated by information 24/7 from social media, from television, from newspapers, from our social circles, friends, family, relatives, our society, our community, WhatsApp. Back in the day, how many SMS did you send when it was discovered? It costed us 2 to 3 rupees to send one SMS.
Absolutely.
Max, you would send 2 to 3 SMS per day or 10 if you were rich.
Yeah.
Now, how many WhatsApp messages have you exchanged since morning? Can you even count it? There's this generation of immediate gratification, validation. You have to respond immediately. We are overstimulated with information. Our cortisol levels are through the roof. Our cortisol doesn't, spike when we're escaping a predator. Our cortisol spikes every time the phone buzzes and beeps. The first thing you do is disconnect from that overstimulation of information. You have enough already. Why don't you process the information that you've been exposed to?
But Dimple, how does one say this to, let's say, a young 16-year-old who's surrounded by, kids who are doing the same, who's feeling a lot of peer pressure, the pressure to fit in? How does that happen? How do we reset that clock?
The beauty of this new generation that's coming, the Gen Z and the Gen Alpha, makes me very optimistic because they're actually seekers. They're not followers. They're not following the social protocols anymore. They're not following the corporate ladder protocols. They're not following the educational protocols anymore. They are suddenly the barrier breakers, the breaking barriers, and they're rediscovering the truth for themselves without being told what to do, how to do, when to do. And a lot of them are actually seeking this balance where they have chosen social media detox consciously, where they have certain hours per day where they do not get on social media, where they do not get on the information bandwagon. Play in the mud. You don't have to be on a PlayStation. Go to the park, close your eyes and take a deep breath. You don't have to be
Go
watching.
back to the slow life.
Yeah, that's
get
the
bored.
best thing. Go back to your roots, because look at the bamboo.
tree or the bamboo plant as we call it, it digs its roots really, really, really deep for the first few days, weeks, months. And when you think this is never going to grow, it suddenly starts shooting 1 foot per day. That's the growth rate that it goes. So if you really want to become the best version of you, healthiest, kindest, happiest, most accomplished version of you, focus on your roots first for a few years and then shoot upwards.
Tell us, you write in your book, but what does it mean to decode your internal software? How do our thoughts physically change our cellular health? Tell me that.
We all grow up with a certain conditioning based on the information we were exposed to by our first round of influence, which is our parents, second round of influence, which is our teachers. Doctors have become a huge round of influence right from the time you're born. Okay, we're completely being monitored on a day-to-day basis, right, by our doctors. Your conditioning determines your mental thought process, and your mental thought process determines your physical cellular structure. So if you've been raised in a family that is predominantly obese and has hypertension and has diabetes, you have the same lifestyle, same food habits as them, and hence you have the same symptoms and diseases as them. And many people mistake it for genetic disorder or hereditary disease. There's no such thing as hereditary disease.
Really?
You have the same lifestyle, same food habits as your parents, and hence you have the same symptoms and same disease as them. You cannot get diabetes, blood pressure, hypertension as a hereditary disease. You don't inherit them from your parents. You inherit their lifestyles. You inherit their food habits. So your conditioning is wrong. In Ayurveda, in modern medicine, they say disease begins in the mind. You have a certain conditioning that makes you function in a certain manner. You unconsciously are munching junk food, processed packaged foods out of stress because for you, you've been conditioned to put your career above all. So you're burning the midnight oil, you're sacrificing your sleep, you're sacrificing your workout time, you're sacrificing healthy food and replacing it with some junk, easy food. What is the end result? Obesity, cardiac health issues, diabetes, pancreatic stress, insulin spike, fatty liver. We are a generation with the highest number of fatty liver cases, right? 1 billion people in this world have fatty liver.
Yeah.
1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3 people are pre-diabetic in this country. 4 out of 7 women have PCOS, PCOD, infertility.
So interesting.
Your mental conditioning makes your physical make.
Again, I thought it was very interesting when I was going through the book, and you've written that energy never lies.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, interesting, but what does that mean? And let's say somebody like me, like how do I perform like an energy check, a vibe check on my health, my environment? If I was to do it, how would I do it?
They say people can lie, but energy never lies, right? So if I'm meeting a person and the person has, whatever perfect smile on their face and says, oh, I'm so pleased to meet you. But the body language doesn't really translate. I don't feel the warmth. I don't feel the energy. And I want to leave the party as soon as I can.
Is that intuition?
Absolutely. Your intuitive intelligence is the software that Mother Nature built inside of you for survival. Without that intelligence, you wouldn't survive. Have you seen how the animals in the jungle function? They use their intuitive intelligence to function, to survive in the wild, right? Deer knows when it's going to be attacked. It just knows from its intuitive intelligence that something is wrong in this moment of the jungle, in this moment of time, that I see something is off. There's a rustling which shouldn't be there, right? Our intuitive intelligence trains us on making the right decisions at the right time for survival. Now, for example, I went to the safari and the guide said, do you know lions eat grass? I said, what nonsense? He said, yes. When they're heavily constipated and sick,
like
they
dogs.
eat mud and grass
like dogs
to clean up their
yeah.
intestines. And I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah.
That's intuitive intelligence. Dogs, cats, lions, tigers don't go to a clinic and a hospital to get themselves for a master checkup and a surgery and a detoxification or a panchakarma treatment. They survive perfectly well in the jungle because they listen to their intuitive intelligence, that innate science and knowledge that Mother Nature has put in them for survival, for progeny, for existence forever. We are a species by default that has become self-destructive because we've shut down our intuitive intelligence and we depend on external tangibles to tell us what to do, when to go to the bathroom, when to drink water, when to stand up, when to work out, when to breathe.
But this whole thing of, you've spoken of waters, like drink like 2 bottles a day.
Yeah.
There is we've spoken about it and you said that there is so much information. But in that information, one doesn't know what's true, what's not, who to listen to, what to follow. And is there any way one can sift through all of that, like devise a method of sifting through the noise?
You know, one size doesn't fit all. One man's nutrition is another man's poison.
Yeah.
What works for me will not work for you. How much of water I must drink must not be the quantity that you drink. Okay? Just like how we all have a blood group. We all have a blood group. There's no human in this world that doesn't have a blood group or a blood type. Right? There are only specific number of blood types. And modern medicine has identified it. Ayurveda identified 5,000 years ago that all of us have a unique biological blueprint, which is called Prakriti. Prakriti literally means the nature of your body.
Yeah.
And there are 7 prototypes.
Okay.
Ectomorph, which is called Vata, endomorph, which is called Kapha, mesomorph, which is called Pitta. Then you can be dual body types, a combination of 2. You can be tridoshic body types. So there are 7 combinations. Once you know what your body type is and what you're prone to, this is information available beforehand. For example, I'm a mesomorph body type with an underlying nature of ectomorph.
Okay.
Pitta and Vata. And I know my body type has high metabolic fire. It's prone to HLA-based marker inflammatory disorders, which modern medicine recognizes, which it's also called SGBM1, I think, if I'm not mistaken. My body is prone to inflammatory disorders. Burning sensation, acidity, reflux, skin disorders, psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, urticaria, eye health issues, hair thinning, hair loss, early graying of hair, leaky gut syndrome.
So you can prevent.
I can prevent it if I know exactly the information. So I know what works for me.
Right.
Sabja seeds works for me. Cooling foods like cucumber and melons work for me. What doesn't work for me? Capsicum, onion, garlic, radish doesn't work for me. Maybe it works for you. Maybe it helps you prevent lipid metabolic disorders. Maybe your body type is endomorph and does really well with those spicy, pungent vegetables. My body may not do so well. Once you know your body type, you can keep digging deeper and educate your senses, raise your level of awareness, consciousness. Once you need to know the first thing you need to know is the alphabets. Then you can make poetry and prose. You need to know your body type. You need to know what are the markers for each body type. And then you can sift through any number of knowledge and pick the one that's relevant for you. So your intuitive intelligence then helps you find the right information for yourself.
Got it. Okay, another very interesting thing in the book was the Brahma Muhurt.
Yeah.
The 2 a.m., 6 a.m.
Yeah.
So why is this specific window the prime time for ideation?
Yeah.
And how can we use it without sacrificing sleep? And 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., I was like, oh my God, this is it's actually great for kids who are up at that time.
Oh my God, it is.
Yeah.
So
tell us about this. Yeah.
There are 2 concepts actually. 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is called the Vata clock in Ayurvedic energy clock. Vata is where air and space is dominant. Brahma Muhurat is actually 1 hour 48 minutes before sunrise.
Okay.
And it lasts for 48 minutes.
So about 5 a.m. onwards, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes 4:30.
4:30, okay.
Right? So Brahma Muhurat is 1 hour 48 minutes before sunrise. Who's Brahma? The creator of the universe. Okay? Whether you're a Hindu, Muslim, Christian, whatever, forget the word Brahma. It's not a Hindu mythological word alone. It means the hour of creation. Who's the creator of this universe? Is it only Brahma? No. You and I are co-creators of this universe. We're creating a carbon footprint and a permanent change in the fabric of this universe. There's a permanent imprint of us. So you and I are co-creators of this universe. So when is the best time to create? It's when there is no traffic in this universe. 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., there's no traffic in this universe. The noise pollution, light pollution, air pollution, human pollution, everything is at an all-time low. If you look at the 24-hour clock, this is a time when the pollution levels are at an all-time low. The noise levels are at an all-time low. Energy is vibrant and rising upwards at this time. And this is the best time for you to plug into the Akashic records, the universe, your intuitive intelligence, your innate intelligence, and listen to those subtle sounds and epiphanies that are coming through you.
So, and presumably that's why you also write that from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is the best time for healing.
And deep REM sleep.
Yeah.
10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is when your body actively detoxifies the toxins, the poisons accumulated throughout the day from air, water, earth, food, conversations, books, music, whatever noise you've been exposed to, even that can be polluting, right, for your body. Right. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., your body actively identifies all those poisons and toxins from your body. It's called deep REM sleep in modern medicine, rapid eye movement. At this point in time, your body is actually having dreams in black and white. It doesn't want to waste energy. You dream in color between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. But 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is when the liver, the largest detoxifying organ, is actively flushing waste out. 2 a.m. to 6 a.m., your peristalsis, the downward moving wind principle, gets activated. You start dreaming in color. You start shifting in your sleep. You start tossing and turning. And you naturally start waking up once your deep REM sleep is over. And the first urge you will have, if you're a healthy person who had sound sleep and who finished dinner 3 hours before bedtime the previous day, you will wake up with the urge to defecate, to release all the toxins and poisons from your body.
Not bad. I'm thinking about myself. So.
Like I said, I'm happy to be a catalyst to stimulate some, thinking process towards this.
Okay, quick ones. What is the one healthy habit that people do every day that's actually blocking their body's ability to heal? Is there something that everyone thinks is very healthy, but is actually not?
Something that people think are healthy, but it's not?
Yeah.
Okay, the two answers I gave. One is, they know it's not healthy, but they still continue doing it. It's a blue light exposure before bedtime. Okay. How many of us are in the habit of scrolling before bedtime? I might do that too sometime if I haven't spoken to my family and I need to talk to someone. I'm virtually talking to all my friends and family, which is not good. The blue light exposure blocks the melatonin production, which is your sleep hormone that allows you to switch off and fall asleep. The blue light tricks your brain into thinking it's daytime, and your cortisol levels are rising.
So is it just the phone or is it television as well?
Everything has blue light. Your telephone, your iPads, your iPhones, your television screen. The best thing to do before bedtime is probably read a few pages from a book which is black and white, which is not overstimulating for the brain. You want to read information that's not overstimulating but calming, soothing, relaxing. Or you can do some journaling.
Is there a food habit that everyone thinks is healthy but is not?
Raw salads.
Oh, really?
Okay, so that answers the second question. Yeah. People are doing it on a daily basis thinking it's healthy, but it's actually not. Now, in Indian culture...
Any raw salad?
There are a few exceptions. A few exceptions would be carrot and cucumber. Because cucumber ideally cannot be cooked because it's a juicy fruit. Technically, it's not a vegetable. You add some salt and you're good to go. You can digest a cucumber pretty fast. And it actually has a soothing, cooling property. But some people have burps from it, so they can add some lemon to it to aid the downward movement because it's a complex water. Carrot, I say yes. Sugarcane, I say yes. Technically, sugarcane is a fruit again. They help in exercising your gums and your teeth. You need some exercise. It's as good as brushing your teeth if you ate gajar raw. But you peel the outer layer to get rid of the pesticides and insecticides. Now, all raw salads are also home to pathogens. Okay, the raw, rough surface allows all kinds of bacteria to survive on top of it, like Salmonella, E. coli, and different kinds of complex pathogens. When you eat raw salads, you're exposing yourself to those pathogens and unhealthy bacteria who are getting nourished by that vegetable, right? Even if you wash it really well, some bacteria survive the washing process. In Indian culture, in tropical countries, in Ayurveda, and most South American and South Asian countries, we cook our vegetables lightly. You can steam them, boil them, saute them, lightly cook them, add some herbs. You don't overcook it. That helps in killing the unhealthy bacteria and stimulates digestive juices. Just the process of breaking down the cellulose, the hard fiber, when you break down the cell membrane, the vegetables become softer and then you chew them really well. It mixes with your saliva and digestive enzymes, goes to the stomach pre-digested. Your stomach doesn't have to work so hard. It quickly gets to the job of absorbing, assimilating the nutrients. When you eat raw salads, most people will agree it makes them gassy. Plants don't want to be eaten. They have a defense mechanism. They release gases. They release, in fact, grass releases an acid called jasmonic acid. When you cut grass, it releases jasmonic acid. That's the smell of grass that we all love, cut grass, and we think it's extremely pleasant, but it's actually not. It's a jasmonic acid. It's a chemical that the plant is releasing, a phytochemical.
So what does it do?
To cripple us, to kill us. But of course, we don't get, crippled and killed by that little smell. It confuses predators like caterpillars to turn into cannibalism and eat each other instead of eating the plant. So it's a chemical that the plant releases to warn other plants of a predator because they can't pick up the roots and run. So when you eat raw salads, you're releasing all those phytochemicals inside your stomach. If you see the documentary, Plants Are Designed to Kill Us, it is true. They kill us slowly when you eat them raw. But when you cook it, you're releasing all those phytochemicals in the air in the cooking process.
So let's say if somebody was to come to you, I was to come to you and say, listen, I honestly can't I'm relatively a healthy eater.
Yeah.
You know, my job is there. It's not very high stress, but it's a job. You know, I have kids at home. I have a husband. I have 5 minutes to myself every day.
Yeah.
What would you suggest?
Watch your breath. If you can have 5 minutes to yourself, please close your eyes, sit in a Padmasana, lotus position, facing northeast, whatever direction works best for you, usually towards the rising sun. Close your eyes, go inward and simply watch your breath. You can't technically watch your breath, you can experience your breath. You can feel your breath. You know, as Eddie Stern says, don't watch your breath, you can't see it. Experience your breath, your inhalation and exhalation. When you become conscious of your breathing, it immediately reduces your cortisol levels. Breath is the only mechanism in your body that you can control. You cannot control the urge to defecate, pee, hunger, digestion, metabolism. You cannot even control your heartbeat, your lungs contracting, expanding, or the thoughts in your mind for that matter. Can you control it? No. The only thing you can control is your breath. When you become conscious of your breath, it immediately balances the id and pingla, the sun and the moon, the Surya and Chandra Bhedi, the left and the right hemisphere of the brain. It immediately releases serotonin and dopamine, the happy hormones, drops your cortisol levels, relaxes your nervous system, relaxes your vagus nerve, which controls your digestion, metabolism, then contributes to your immunity, improves your awareness, consciousness, improves your productivity, improves your focus, everything improves. Your mental, emotional, physical health improves if you just experienced your breath for 5 minutes every day.
Okay. One of the most famous things, Dimple, that have come through you is CCFT.
Yeah.
Explain to everyone who doesn't know, I think probably everyone does, but explain to people what is CCFT.
Well, I mean, I won't take credit for it. CCFT has existed long enough. Maybe my social media amplified the noise for it, and I'm glad if we could, deliver that message well. CCF basically means coriander, cumin, fennel tea, and I add 2 more ingredients to it. Cardamom and carom seeds. So mine is 4 C's and an F. Okay. It's a 5-ingredient tea. Cumin, fennel are carminative in nature. They're cooling in nature. Coriander is great for your thyroid gland, prevents UTI infection, also stimulates your digestive juices. Cardamom stimulates your metabolic fire, also gives you an amazing flavor and taste in your mouth. You don't get, oral breath or halitosis. Carom seeds, a pinch of it helps in deworming the body and getting rid of toxins and poisons. And if you just put them in water, boil it lightly, or if you don't want to boil it, you sip the water all day and chew the seeds.
So I can put all this at night and then let it just sit in water and have the water the next day, or I need to boil it?
I'm not a big fan of soaking it overnight because the water can get a little smelly.
Oh, okay.
It's best to do it in the morning.
So 5 minutes of boiling?
Yeah, less than that, I would say. Less than that.
5 minutes.
You'd
and a
rather,
pinch of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this is a proportion that works really well for everyone. Take 2 liters of water, 2 teaspoon cumin seeds, 2 teaspoon fennel seeds, 2 teaspoon coriander seeds, 2 cardamom pods, open it, and a pinch of ajwain, carom seeds. So you can literally take these ingredients and pour boiling water in it. That's enough.
That's enough. Okay.
You don't even have to cook it together.
And you have to then, what if I don't drink that much water in a day? Can I keep it for the next day? Or no.
Again,
so make it fresh.
Yeah, it turns tamasic.
And does it work? You said how everybody has a different body type. Does it work for everyone?
This is beautifully tridoshic in nature, which means it suits all 7 body types.
Okay.
It suits all 3 doshas. CCFT is great for everyone, for women, for men, for those with gynecological health issues, gastrointestinal disorders, skin diseases, works for all. If you're someone with very high metabolic fire, inflammatory diseases, burning sensation, acidity, you can also have sabja water instead of CCFT.
What is sabja water?
Sabja is the takmaria seeds. It's called holy basil seeds, sweet basil seeds, which we used to put in our faluda during summer holidays. It turns into this jelly-like substance when it swells up. It literally turns water into solid. It absorbs.
This is sabudana? No.
No, sabudana is tapioca.
So this
chia seeds is different. Sabja seeds is different. It looks like chia. Black seeds.
But it's different.
And when you soak it in water, it turns into a jelly-like substance. It has like this outer layer, which is like this thick gel. That is literally water turning solid. So instead of drinking water, I'm eating water. What it does, it holds 17 times more moisture than its original size.
So you eat it or you soak it and then drink the water?
You just soak the sabja seeds. In 10 minutes, it'll swell up. And when you drink the water, you swallow the seeds because you can't chew it. It's so slippery, you can't even grind it.
Oh, you just
and it goes to your stomach. Because it's not liquid, it's semi-solid, solid. It stays in the stomach holding all that moisture, reducing your stomach heat and acidity levels, cooling down the hydrochloric acid, reducing your burning sensation, acidity, reflux, hydrating you better.
Interesting.
It's a simple science.
Okay, if you were to walk into, let's say, my kitchen,
Yeah.
what were the 5 pantry staples that I must have outside of the CC, 4 C's and 1 F?
4 C's and 1 F. I hope that catches on.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, every household must have fruits. It's the best prebiotic your body can be gifted. Number 2, you must have the rainbow vegetables, all 7 colors. Okay. Have at least 7 colors of vegetables in your kitchen. Number 3, the most important is millets.
7 colors. Hold on, let's go through them. Which is your greens,
Yeah.
onions, red, potatoes, yellow. That's 3. Purple,
Blueberries.
brinjal,
Yeah.
or blueberries.
Whites.
Whites.
That's so, you have your greens, which is your spinach,
Mushrooms,
celery,
yeah.
cilantro, curry leaves, moringa, spirulina. Then you have a purple, which is your blueberries and aubergine and stuff like that. Then you have your reds, which is your red capsicum,
Tomatoes
carrot, tomatoes. They have lycopene.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have white, which is your onion, garlic. They have allicin.
Yes.
They're great for your immunity. Do you also have your oranges and yellows?
Yes.
Right? Your oranges would be your mandarins and all of them vitamin C
Got
rich.
it.
Yellow would be your lemon yellow, yellow capsicum.
Yeah, we're 6 already. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
And then you have the
your
browns.
reds, or your browns, your
You have
apples,
your browns.
and okay.
You have your millets and whole grains.
Got it.
I'd love for you to have that.
Yeah.
Technically, there are some brown vegetables also. Like you have your sweet potato, which is technically brown, red, maroon. You have your white potatoes, which is brown and white.
Yeah.
So 7 colors.
Okay, so we've done vegetables, 7 colors.
Fruits.
Fruits.
For your prebiotics. Millets.
Millets.
Year 2000, I think 22 was it? That was called the year of the millets.
Yeah, yeah.
By
The
the
Prime
United
Minister is really
Nations.
pushing, for...
It's just not the Prime Minister. We should all be pushing it. We should be helping him contribute to this world economy and health of the entire world.
So all
millets is the backbone of the Indian...
So millets is what, for people to know, is all your jowar, ragi, bajra,
Bajra, jawar,
all your
makai,
coarse
ragi.
grains.
Technically, quinoa comes under the same
Quinoa
category.
comes under it.
Amaranth, which is rajgira, fonio millet, guinea millet, barnyard, foxtail, little millet. The number of foreigners we've introduced millets to.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, everyone, it's really coming back in vogue. Everyone's sort of eating it and saying, everyone who goes gluten-free then kind of goes to all of this. Okay, what else?
So we've done fruits, we've done vegetables, we've done millets, spices.
Okay.
There are carminative spices and there's stimulating spices. Carminative would be your cumin, fennel, coriander. They're cooling, they're carminative. Then your heaty spices would be your cinnamon, cardamom, clove. Ginger technically comes under a spice. Then you have black peppercorn. You can also have lemongrass as an herb. And the number 5 would be herbs.
Okay.
Rosemary, thyme, basil, tulsi.
This is an Indian kitchen.
My God,
this is an Indian kitchen. Pretty much every Indian kitchen would have this.
I'm telling you, Italians, Spanish, Japs also have this.
Right. Oh, Japs as well.
Any longevity zone that you go to,
right, wow.
where you have the maximum number of centenarians, will have this. They have a 95% plant slant. That's a secret of blue zones. Fruits, vegetables, whole grains, spices, herbs.
I wanted to end because the book says it's the ultimate healing code. So I want to know from you, Dimple, what is the ultimate healing code?
So, I'm glad you asked that question. For those of the viewers who've read my first book, it was Heal Your Gut, Mind and Emotions, using the powerful combination of Ayurveda and modern medicine. And we spoke about the tangibles there. We spoke about nutrition, which you can measure, see, feel, touch, sleep, water, stress, negative vices like drinking, smoking, positive social connections. We spoke about the circadian rhythm. Again, it's measurable on your clock. Digestion period of different food groups. It's again measurable, proven by modern science. Combinations of foods, the science of food combining, which is called Viruddhahar. It's catching up like crazy, and I think I'm most controversial for that, for discussing that on social media. So we spoke about the tangibles. But what if you're doing everything right and still get sick, which happened to me? I discovered I have an autoimmune disorder, which I genetically have it because of my blood type. And I was born with it. And it skipped my parents, but it was from my ancestors. And I was like, why me? Right? So I had my self-pity party for a day, cried and woes me and stuff like that. And then I said, you know what? I'm decoding this. I want to know what caused it. There are other intangibles that are contributing to your health, disease, and your mental, physical makeup and your personality. That's energy, vibrations, frequency, sound, and intentions. And the Gen Z believes in it. They have this word, vibe check, right? If you understand the intangibles that are influencing you continuously, and if you master them and also start controlling them, it puts you in the driver's seat. It puts you in charge of your life, your health, your destination, and the path that you're on. And I'd rather be the master of my body than be the slave of external variables.
On that note, here's wishing that everyone is the master of themselves, their body, and they take charge. Thank you so much for coming and speaking to us at DeKoder.
Thank you for holding space. Like I say, if you didn't hold space, we wouldn't have this conversation. So gratitude to you and to everybody part of this team.
Thank you so much.